Hey everyone, this is Joe Rowan, and I am the lead fantasy analyst for Just Baseball. And today, I'm going to be taking you through some ADP value plays from picks 250 to 200. So, with that, let's get started. Now, first up, we have Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins going at an ADP of 241. Now, stick with me here for a second because you might be saying, oh, he's fallen into the trap. He's fallen into the Byron Buxton trap. Not exactly. You see, in years past, he would be going at a very expensive price in terms of ADP, but this season, 241, that's not bad. That's a much later round than usual. So wherever I can, I'm investing on Buxton. He's got very high potential as always. The tools are all there. And we also forget that last season in 102 games, the guy put up 18 long balls. He had a 524 slug, and his OPS was 859. It's good. It's very good for as late of a pick as he's going. And we also forget that his career 162 game averages are almost a 30-20 player. He averages 28 homers and 20 steals per 162. It's true. He's not going to play that much, and he won't be playing a full season. But if we get him for just 120 games, you could get 20 to 25 homers and 15 to 20 steals, and that's not out of the realm of possibility. So wherever I can, I'm taking Buxton and take advantage of the consensus kind of just pushing him under the rug because that's where you find the real value. Now, let's move on to Jeffrey Springs of the Athletics, who is going at number 230. Now, he was traded to the Athletics in the offseason in kind of a surprising move. So he'll be pitching in Sacramento now, and I'm not too worried about that. He keeps the ball in the ballpark for the most part because he hasn't owned an ERA north of 3.43 in the last 4 seasons. And even though it was a short-lived 2024, he only pitched 33 innings, he showed signs of effectiveness and encouragement. In 2022, in his full season of 135 innings, he ended up with a 2.46 ERA and a 1.07 WHIP. That's very good. And to me, at this price, would you rather take Springs with as high of a ceiling as he has, or Clark Schmidt, who is going 2 rounds earlier and has shown to have some blown up outings here and there? I would take Springs. And if he shows what he showed in 2022, at this point next season, we could be talking about him as a top 10 fantasy pitcher. He's got ace potential. It's as simple as that. And it's also not the Athletics of old in past seasons. They have Lawrence Butler now. They have Brent Rooker, Shea Langoliers. They have all these guys that can contribute on offense. So there's some potential for victories and wins for Springs. And I like that a lot for him. So invest in Springs, and you could have a lefty ace. Now let's move on to the Lourdes Gurriel Jr. going at number 225. This guy is a staple in the middle of the Snakes lineup. And even though they didn't make the postseason last year, they still scored the most runs out of anyone in MLB, surprisingly. They just couldn't pitch. So his lineup context is great. He has Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Josh Naylor batting in front of him, and him hitting cleanup will be beautiful in that lineup. I often talk about the boring tax in my writing, and this is one of those guys. He's just a stable contributor. He's got high batting average, solid power, and he's playing in a strong lineup. Boring production is effective production, and that's the definition of the boring tax. So would you rather take a guy like Victor Robles, who's only going to help you in steals? I would take Gurriel. He's a 4-category contributor, and I think you'll be glad because of it. Now let's move on and finish up with a couple of potential aces in 2025. Going at number 207 is Brandon Woodruff for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, this guy was an ace in the past, and even though he didn't pitch in 2024 at all, the Brewers showed potential after the 2023 season. They showed a lot of belief in him, signing him to a 2-year deal. They said, Brandon, we're gonna take 2024 and you can just rehab. So we're just gonna pay you for 2025 on a 2-year deal. It shows a lot of confidence in Brandon Woodruff. So in the past 5 years, out of any pitcher in the league, minimum 400 innings pitched, he has the lowest ERA out of everyone. That's how you know he's the real deal. He'll be returning from a year off of absence, and it might take a little bit to shake off the rust for Woodruff, but that's okay. You know why? Because his performances, they're believable. In 2019, 2021, and 2022, these are his FIP stats, and that's fielding independent pitching, and that shows the effectiveness of a pitcher just focusing on things like strikeouts and walks and taking out whatever happens after the ball gets put into play. All right, his FIP 2019, 3.01, 2021, 2.96, 2022, 3.08. All of his performances are very, very believable. You know, his ERA is low, but his FIP is even lower, and that shows, this guy is very, very good, and he could be a fantasy ace for your staff. He's simply forgotten about, and going at 207, you could really cash in on his value. So go with Woodruff. And finally, we have Nathan Eovaldi coming in at number 201. Now, Woodruff is more of a ace. Eovaldi is more of a workhorse. He is the stabilizer in that Texas rotation. When you have guys like Jacob deGrom, who he might be there, he might not. You have Eovaldi to, kind of stabilize everyone. His chase rate was elite last year. It was in the 87th percentile. He's got some nasty offerings. And for the most part, he kept the ball on the ground. His ground ball rate was very, very good. We often forget that he was in the top 5 2021 Cy Young race, and he actually had a top 5 finish there. And get this for consistency. The last 2 seasons, in 2023, he had a 1.14 whip and an 8.3 strikeout per 9. In 2024, he had a 1.10 whip and an 8.8 strikeout per 9. That's consistent. That's what I want in my fantasy rotation, and that's what you'll get if you invest in Eovaldi. So with that, we would love for you to subscribe to the Just Fantasy Baseball channel, and we will be with you here all draft season long. I will be here giving you tips and tricks to win your drafts and more importantly, win your leagues.